You could give her everything, your time, your money, your devotion, and she'd still walk away without looking back. That's the harsh reality millions of men face daily, wondering how someone they treated like a queen could discard them so easily. The problem isn't that you're not good enough, it's that you've been playing by the wrong rules entirely. Most men operate under a fundamental misunderstanding about attraction and relationships. They believe that effort equals results, that being nice guarantees reciprocation, and that consistency automatically breeds desire. These assumptions, while logical in other areas of life, become relationship killers when applied to romantic dynamics. The uncomfortable truth is that women don't fall in love with effort, they fall in love with impact. The modern dating landscape has left countless good men confused and frustrated. They've been told to be respectful, available, and generous. Yet they watch as women gravitate toward men who seem to care less, give less, and demand more. This isn't about women being shallow or manipulative. It's about understanding the fundamental psychological and emotional drivers that create genuine attraction versus mere appreciation. When you shower a woman with attention, gifts, and constant availability, you're not building dependency. There's a crucial distinction between being needed and being wanted. A woman might need you for emotional support, financial stability, or companionship, but need creates obligation, not passion. Want, on the other hand, creates pull. It's the difference between being someone's emotional crutch and being someone's emotional drug. The effort trap. The first trap most men fall into is believing that increased effort automatically increases attraction. This works in sports, academics, and career advancement, but romantic attraction operates on entirely different principles. Women don't calculate their feelings based on how much you do for them. They respond to how you make them feel, and excessive effort often creates the opposite of the intended effect. Instead of appearing devoted, you appear desperate. Instead of showing value, you demonstrate neediness. Consider the man who texts every morning, plans elaborate dates, remembers every detail she mentions, and responds to messages within seconds. He believes he's showing commitment and care, but from her perspective, something feels off. She begins to wonder why he's trying so hard, what he wants from her, and why he doesn't seem to have anything else occupying his time and energy. This hyperattentiveness creates discomfort rather than attraction because it signals that his world revolves around her. Responsibility no woman wants to bear. The counterintuitive truth is that mystery and unpredictability create far more attraction than consistency and availability. This doesn't mean playing games or being dishonest, but rather maintaining your own life, interests, and rhythms independent of her presence. When you're not constantly available, when you don't over-explain your every thought and feeling, when you leave space for her imagination to fill in the gaps, you become intriguing rather than overwhelming. The validation trap. Another critical error is seeking validation through her responses and reactions. Every time you fish for compliments, over-explain your actions, or get visibly anxious when she's quiet or distant, you're surrendering your emotional power. Women are incredibly intuitive and can sense when a man's self-worth depends on their approval. This validation-seeking behavior doesn't just turn off attraction, it actively repels it because it signals that you don't believe in your own value without external confirmation. The validation trap is particularly dangerous because it creates a cycle of emotional dependence. The more you need her approval to feel good about yourself, the more you'll chase it, and the more you chase it, the less attractive you become. Women don't want to be responsible for a man's confidence. They want to be with someone who's already confident, whose self-worth isn't negotiable based on their moods or tension levels. This is where the concept of emotional detachment becomes crucial. Emotional detachment isn't about becoming cold or unfeeling. It's about maintaining your center regardless of external circumstances. It's the ability to care deeply without being controlled by what you care about. When you can observe your emotions without being ruled by them, when you can sit with discomfort without immediately trying to fix it, you develop a magnetic presence that draws people in rather than pushing them away. The nice guys syndrome. The nice guys syndrome represents one of the most common relationship pitfalls. Being nice isn't inherently wrong, but being nice without boundaries, standards, or the willingness to challenge poor behavior makes you forgettable. Women often describe nice guys as sweet, thoughtful, and always there for them, while simultaneously texting someone else they're actually attracted to. This happens because safety and attraction don't always coexist. The man who never says no, never pushes back, never creates any emotional tension, becomes invisible through his very agreeableness. The problem with worship-based relationships is that they flip the natural polarity. When you put a woman on a pedestal, treating her as flawless and beyond criticism, you position yourself as the emotional follower rather than the leader. This might feel romantic to you, but it kills attraction because it eliminates the tension that keeps relationships alive. Women want to feel challenged, not worshipped. They want to be with someone who sees them clearly, including their flaws, and doesn't lose his center in the process. Challenge doesn't mean being argumentative or controlling. It means having standards and boundaries that you're willing to maintain even if it creates discomfort. It means being able to disagree without fearing abandonment, to say no when something doesn't align with your values, and to walk away if the relationship becomes one-sided. This kind of strength creates respect, and respect is the foundation of lasting attraction. Need versus want. The dynamic between being needed versus being wanted reveals another crucial distinction. When someone needs you, they're depending on you to fill a void in their life. This creates a temporary bond based on their deficiency, not your value. But when someone wants you, they're choosing you from a place of wholeness, not desperation. They desire your presence not because they're broken, but because you add something unique and valuable to their already complete existence. Many men build their entire relationship strategy around being needed. They look for women who are struggling, broken, or in crisis because that's where they feel most valuable. But this is fundamentally unstable because once the crisis passes, once she no longer needs fixing, the foundation of the relationship crumbles. You want to be chosen, not needed. You want to be the cherry on top, not the entire sundae. The power of non-reaction. The power of non-reaction cannot be overstated in romantic dynamics. In a world where everyone reacts instantly to everything, the man who can pause, observe, and respond thoughtfully becomes incredibly attractive. When you don't immediately react to her moods, her tests, or her attempts to provoke an emotional response, you demonstrate emotional mastery. This doesn't mean being unresponsive or cold. It means being unshakable. Women test men constantly, often unconsciously, to see if they can move them emotionally. They want to know if you'll maintain your center under pressure, if you'll stay grounded when they're emotional, if you'll lead when they're in chaos. Every time you react frantically to her silence, every time you panic when she's distant, every time you lose your composure over her moods, you fail these tests. But when you remain calm, present, and unfazed, you pass with flying colors. The earning principle fundamentally changes relationship dynamics. When you give away your time, attention, and commitment without requiring anything in return, you devalue yourself in her eyes. This doesn't mean being transactional or keeping score, but rather understanding that people treasure what they have to work for. When a woman has to earn your presence through her actions, consistency, and investment, she values it more highly than if it were freely given. This is why relationships that start with too much too soon often flame out quickly. There's no buildup, no tension, no process of discovery. Everything is laid bare immediately, leaving nothing to the imagination and nothing to work toward. The most satisfying relationships involve some level of challenge, some sense that the other person's full commitment must be earned through demonstration of worthiness. Emotional detachment as power. The concept of emotional detachment as a superpower ties everything together. When you're not emotionally dependent on her responses, when you can maintain your peace regardless of her behavior, when you can walk away if necessary without losing yourself, you become incredibly powerful. This power isn't about control or manipulation, it's about self-mastery. It's the ability to stay true to your values and boundaries even when it's difficult. Emotional detachment allows you to love without losing yourself, to care without becoming desperate, to invest without becoming attached to outcomes. It's what makes you unpredictable in the best possible way, not because you're playing games, but because you're not emotionally dependent. This independence is magnetic because it's rare in a world full of people seeking validation and approval from others. The transformation, the journey from nice guy to attractive man, isn't about becoming cold or uncaring. It's about developing genuine strength, maintaining your standards, and understanding that your value isn't determined by how others respond to you. It's about becoming someone who enhances rather than needs, who leads rather than follows, who inspires rather than worships. True attraction is built on respect, mystery, challenge, and emotional independence. When you stop trying to earn love through sacrifice and start commanding it through presence, everything changes. You stop being the safety net and become the adventure. You stop being the consolation prize and become the reward. You stop being chosen by default and start being chosen by desire. The most attractive men understand that their worth isn't negotiable. They don't lower their standards to keep someone interested, nor do they sacrifice their peace for temporary affection. They build themselves from the inside out, creating a foundation so solid that others naturally want to be part of it, rather than having to be convinced to stay. This transformation isn't about manipulation or game. It's about becoming the kind of man who naturally attracts quality women because he embodies the qualities they're instinctively drawn to: strengths, independence, mystery, and emotional mastery. When you stop trying to be chosen and start being someone worth choosing, you'll discover that the right woman will choose you without any effort on your part. That's the ultimate paradox of attraction. The less you need it, the more you get it.